In the last few hours, a point of no return appears to have been reached inside the Bihać pocket. Until now, despite Bosnian government claims to the contrary, the fighting, however bitter, had been in areas of the enclave not covered by the safe zones policy. But this evening, UN monitors deployed around the pocket were reporting that the Serbs had taken the final provocative step.
Well, I'm afraid the situation looks very dire indeed. Since about midday, there's been quite intense fighting, and fighting within the Bihać safe area itself. The BSA, the Bosnian Serb forces, appear to have entered the safe area from the south and from the southwest. It's a bit unclear to us in what number they've intruded at the moment, and it seems to be mainly infantry and small arms fire within the safe area, but then there is also artillery fire from the east.
This morning, more than 20 NATO aircraft of the British, US, French and Dutch air forces had attacked 3 Serbian surface-to-air missile sites. 2 were on Bosnian territory and 1 inside the rebel Krajina region of Croatia. Not all the targets were destroyed, and a second airstrike was carried out late this afternoon. The NATO action was in response to yesterday's missile attack on 2 British Sea Harriers. When radars were locked onto the Allied jets from 2 other missile bases, they were also targeted. Earlier in Sarajevo, the Bosnian Prime Minister Haris Silajic went to some lengths to settle doubts on whether the safe area was under attack. He publicly called up ham radio operators in the Bihać area, spoke to them at some length, and heard their desperate appeals for help.
They just informed us that the Serbs are attacking the county hospital there, in which there are 1,500 patients, most of them civilians, and that the Serb aggressor forces coming from Croatia across the border are now attacking by infantry, artillery and tank attacks civilian targets in Bihać.
He made a point of asking the defenders of Bihać if this week's NATO airstrikes had done anything to deter Serb attackers.
The airstrikes conducted today far away from the battleground did not deter the attacks on the town of Bihać by tanks, artillery and infantry.
As far as NATO airstrikes throughout the region, it has had no effect on the fighting in around Bihać. If anything, Serbian forces are more aggressive. The mayor says if NATO airstrikes are to be continued, they must be continued along the border of Bosnia and Herzegovina and the Republic of Croatia against Serbian heavy tanks and artillery, which are firing into the Bihać pocket.
So NATO's actions so far have neither satisfied the Bosnian government, nor have they had the effect of intimidating Serbs. In Belgrade, the Croatian Serbs were talking of nothing but defiance.
It is war against the Serb people in former Yugoslavia committed by NATO Pact, Western Europe and United States of America. It is true that we have no enemy only in Muslims and in Croats. We have enemy in Western countries. We must fight because we have no other solution.
The United Nations Protection Force has an impressive deployment of equipment and personnel in those parts of Croatia and Bosnia unaffected by the war. But UNPROFOR has been unable for more than a month to resupply or even reach its 1,200 Bangladeshi soldiers based in 3 separate locations in the Bihać enclave. Today there were some inside UNPROFOR who were wondering how long the peacekeepers' role would be tenable.
Obviously there is a danger that we are moving towards a full-scale confrontation with the Bosnian Serbs. And UNPROFOR, as a peacekeeping mission, is simply not equipped to undertake that task, nor do many countries who have sent troops here want their troops to take part in such an operation.
Reports coming out of Bihać tonight say that the Bosnian Army 5th Brigade is fighting for its last high point of defense south of Bihać and confirm that the safe area has been breached. Here at the headquarters of UNPROFOR, the feeling is that tomorrow will be a critical day. The fact that the Serbs have penetrated the safe area of Bihać town means that more airstrikes are virtually unavoidable. Their targets are likely to be tanks and Serb heavy weapons, and massive air power is likely to be needed to neutralize Serb air defense systems. The Bihać crisis seems to have brought NATO's involvement in the Bosnian war to a new, totally unprecedented phase. Gabby Rado, Channel 4 News, Zagreb.